All right, what's on tap? Last but not least, I saw something about Big Dom today, um, and it was like the let's go NFL standings. So Big Dom Eagles play Eagles like security head of security. I don't even know how to exactly explain what he does, and he's kind of like when you think of the Eagles, you play word association. So you're like, oh, Big Dom. So I thought I'd play some word association here and try to match teams with the first person that comes to my mind. So I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to start off with the NFC and kind of remember, and it can be a player, it can be a coach, it can be whoever, but who is the person that most you associate when you hear this team's name? So let's share our screen here, and we're going to start off with the New York Giants. The first person that comes to my mind with the New York Football Giants is Michael Strahan. Why Strahan? Well, because he's on Good Morning America. He's on Fox. Like, I don't know. There is a word association with me and the New York Giants and Michael Strahan. The Philadelphia Eagles. Big Dom. I mean, we talked about it, but he's kind of like the guy right now with the Eagles. So when I think about the Philadelphia Eagles, the first person I think about is Big Dom. He's kind of like the Don of the Philadelphia Eagles. The Washington Commanders. I'm sorry, I still think of Dan Snyder. I know he doesn't own the team anymore, but how bad he treated that team, that fan base. It's going to take a while for us to erase his memory. So sorry, but Dan Snyder for the Washington Commanders. The Dallas Cowboys. This one is probably the easiest one. Jerry Jones, their eccentric owner, the guy that everyone thinks of when you think of the Dallas Cowboys. When I think of the Cowboys, I think of Jerry Jones. The Chicago Bears. Mike Ditka. The Bears. Come on. I mean, he's pretty synonymous. They won their last Super Bowl with him as their head coach. And I feel like when you think of the Chicago Bears, the first person you think of is Mike Ditka. Pretty simple. The Green Bay Packers. Vince Lombardi. Lombardi Trophy named after him. Legendary head coach. When I think of the Green Bay Packers, the first person that comes to my mind is Vince Lombardi. The Minnesota Vikings. Randy Moss. I can't think of anyone else, but that's the first person. Randy Moss was electric. He was maybe one of the most fun football players to ever watch in my lifetime. And when I think of the Vikings, I think of Randy Moss. The Detroit Lions. I think of Ford, like the car. Maybe because the Ford family's owned them for so long. Barry Sanders also comes to mind. But let's go with Ford with the Detroit Lions. The New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees, brought him a Super Bowl. Hurricane Katrina. Pretty simple there. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Guess Tom Brady. I know he didn't play for them that long, but he's the first person that comes to mind there. Atlanta Falcons. Michael Vick. Come on, that Madden Michael Vick year was the greatest video game player of all time. Pretty easy for me to just say, hey, I think of Michael Vick when I think of Atlanta Falcons. The Carolina Panthers. Steve Smith. Probably the best player in their franchise history. He was fun to watch. He was electric. He was eccentric. Pretty easy for me to say Steve Smith with the Panthers. The LA Rams. This one's hard. But I guess Sean McVay, young coach, kind of changed the way coaching is in the NFL. Simple. The Seattle Seahawks. I think of multiple things here. Maybe that's because I'm a Seahawks fan, but I'm going to go with Pete Carroll. He brought him the first Super Bowl. He's the guy most synonymous with the franchise. He changed the culture. He made us into the biggest, brought us the biggest winning era in Seattle Seahawks football history. Arizona Cardinals. I think of Tidwell. What's the name? Bidwell Tidwell from the movie with Tom Cruise. Random, I know, but that the franchise hasn't been very good. So it reminds me of that Tom Cruise movie, Show Me the Money. San Francisco 49ers. Jerry Rice, the greatest wide receiver to ever live. Let's go to the AFC, the Miami Dolphins. Dan Marino, maybe the best quarterback of all time, that has never won a Super Bowl. The New England Patriots. I still, once again, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, combo deal. Best dynasty in history of the NFL. Pretty easy for me to think of those two. The New York Jets. Joe Naismith. I mean, this franchise really hasn't had much of a huge success, so that's their last success. The Buffalo Bills. Wow, this one's tough for me. But I think of just goalposts because of a Super Bowl. Sad, I know. The Baltimore Ravens, Ray Lewis, heart and soul of that franchise, and brought them a Super Bowl. Not just one, but two. The Cincinnati Bengals. I can't really think of anyone when it comes to the Bengals. So I'm going to have to go Joe Burrow. At least he took him to a Super Bowl. The Cleveland Browns. Yikes. This one's tough for me, guys. The Cleveland Browns. I guess I'll think of Johnny Manziel and just the dumb decisions they make as a franchise. The Pittsburgh Steelers. So many people you can think of. I'll think of Terry Bradshaw here, won multiple Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I think of Trevor Lawrence. He's their hope and savior and the only thing that could save this franchise. The Tennessee Titans. I think of Steve McNair. Unfortunately, he died early, and that documentary that's going to come out on Netflix is going to be fantastic. The Houston Texans, I think of Andre Johnson, best player in their franchise history. The Indianapolis Colts, I think of Peyton Manning and just how good he was for the franchise. And Andrew Luck comes second for what could be. The Denver Broncos, John Elway. Come on, there's nothing. He looks like a Bronco. Pretty simple. The Raiders, I think of Al Davis, one of the most eccentric owners in the history of sports. The LA Chargers, I think of Phil Rivers and the amount of kids he had. And the Kansas City Chiefs, I think of Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback of this generation. All right. So that's the word association game with the NFL. Kind of thought that would be a fun way to do it. Please make sure you like and comment if there's any of them you disagree with. The hardest ones for me had to be the Cleveland Browns and Cincinnati Bengals. And ironically, they're in the same division. But both of those franchises have just never really done anything for me to be like, wow, when I think of that franchise, I think of this person. It's sad because that's football country, Ohio. Isn't it weird that like Ohio, which is known as like one of the home of the Football Hall of Fame, has two of the franchises that are most synonymous with being bad? Got to feel bad for those fans of those franchises. The Bengals, the Browns, definitely on the list of teams I can't really even play a word association game with. And of course, like the Texans and Jaguars are kind of new, so those were pretty easy. All right, guys, thank you for watching. This has been George on Tap, part of the Sports on Tap Network, our daily show, Monday through Friday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time and 2:30 Eastern, talking about all the biggest stories in sports and some fun topics here. This is August, guys. This is the dog days of summer. We have to we literally find different topics that are really have to be interesting because there's not much going on in sports. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Remember, if you want to sign up with Underdog, use promo code ONTAP, and you'll be able to get the play of the day with the Shohei Ohtani, only half an at bat. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.